they're trying to build a de facto gun registry. We're the Armed Attorneys. Today we're talking about the update in the law with regard to engaging in the business and dealing in firearms. This comes out of the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, also known as Senate Bill 2938. Now, this is a huge shift in the way that firearms transactions are treated with regard to private sailors, so you won't want to miss this one. But before we begin, show your support for the Second Amendment by hitting that like button. And this has changed considerably. Joe Biden has signed this into law June the 25th, 2022, so this is currently the law of the land. Now, Edwin, give us a quick overview of what this section does.
Anyone who engages in the business of selling firearms has to be licensed by the ATF. These are what we commonly call FFLs, or Federal Firearms License Dealers. And previously, these individuals have been described as that individuals who sell guns for the principal objective of a livelihood and profit. And now the new law has struck that language and substituted in just simply the words to predominantly earn a profit. And so this has really kind of taken the business part out of engaging in business and simply said that anybody who sells a firearm predominantly to earn a profit is now going to be considered a dealer. And if that person doesn't have a license, they will be prosecuted as being an unlicensed firearms dealer.
Yeah, and this is a tremendous shift because, they remove that livelihood component in the analysis of what qualifies as engaging in the business. So, previously what we saw is how would someone, be earning a livelihood? We'd look at the number of firearms sold, the frequency of firearms sold, but now those are kind of going to the wayside.
And this is particularly troublesome with regard to an individual who may purchase a firearm that they know in advance will be a collectible firearm. So let's say that they received a solicitation from a firearms manufacturer that said, this is a limited run, there's only going to be 500 of these firearms made. An individual buys it knowing that there is a high likelihood that it will increase in value. He purchases it for a certain price, and now, in fact, it has increased in value, and he has sold it specifically because he wanted to gain the profit of it being a 1 of 500 collectible. Does that now make him in violation of the law?
Probably, and that's a question that we saw popping up. We kind of gave a brief overview of this law when it first was, we had a working draft of it. Now, it's also worth noting that profit motive is not considered if the sale of the firearm is for, criminal purposes. If I know that I'm selling it to a drug trafficker or a terrorist or a cartel member, or I know that person is going to go and commit a crime, they don't care whether or not I'm making profit, and they completely do away with that requirement under the law. So that's important with noting. But I think some factors that folks should consider when selling a firearm, what the ATF might be looking at. What do you think some factors they'd be looking at, Edwin?
Well, certainly they're going to first look at to see whether or not there was a substantial increase in value or an increase in the monetary benefit that you received. Now, those can be countered by showing that you made a one-for-one exchange, you gave the gun as a gift. You'll want to avoid doing things like perhaps recording the prices that you did sell a gun for. And they will consider, while there is no definite number and while there is no definite frequency that lays out perimeters of what being a dealer are, the ATF will definitely consider the number of guns that you've sold and the frequency at which you sold them.
So we can see that this is a tremendous shift in the way that private sellers are treated. And I think the idea behind this is they want to drive individuals to FFLs to facilitate transfers, which we all know is, once we funnel everything through FFLs are keeping firearms transaction records indefinitely. They're trying to build basically a de facto gun registry is what the goal is. But this is kind of a, half-hearted attempt at it by making it a little bit ambiguous and very difficult for people to comply with the law. But if you have any questions about this specific provision of the law, section 12002, this is changing the definition of engaging in the business of firearms. Make sure to leave us a comment or question in the comment section below. That's where we're sourcing a lot of these questions that we're answering in this video series. Now, if you're not subscribed, you're going to want to subscribe. We're talking about all the major provisions of this Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. You won't want to miss these videos, but we hope you enjoyed this discussion. Help us fight the anti-2A algorithm by sharing this video. And until next time, we're the Armed Attorneys.